Good morning, everyone. It's Friday morning. It's the 17th of January. We read in John 15:16. You have not chosen me, but I can bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. Me, but I have chosen you. Now, in contradistinction to that verse, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, we have 90% of Christendom demand that you make a decision for Christ, but Christ tells us that he's the one that made the decision for us. Totally in contradistinction to what 90% of the churches are teaching. Well, I've been reading through this book, The Lies of Free Will, as you know, and I wrote this back in 2017. It's hard to believe it's been 6-7 years since I wrote the book. Today we're going to be reading in chapter 13, entitled Billy Graham, the Southern Baptist Convention and the Mega Churches. Billy Graham has done more to attack the true gospel than most false teachers and preachers combined. I had a gal one time who was in the Reformed Presbyterian Church. She said, Billy Graham's done a lot of good. And I've heard many ministers say that. I heard E.G. Garrett make a statement like that in the pulpit. Church of God Holiness. Billy Graham's done a lot of good. I even heard a guy in the Primitive Baptist Church say that. And a minister. Billy Graham has promoted the false free will gospel across the world at stadiums in the United States in front of thousands and thousands of people. You would never hear Billy Graham say, you have not chosen me, but I've chosen you. Why did he name his radio station The Hour of Decision? Billy Graham has stated that he adheres to the doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church and has sent many who have attended his campaign right back in the whorish false church. I'll do an addition. This is not in the book, I don't believe, but Billy Graham accepted an honorary degree from the Roman Catholic Church. His Hour of Decision broadcast highlights his focus on the free will of man and not on the election and sovereign grace of God. Literally thousands of people exalt Billy as a great preacher and a follower of Christ. There's even a statue of him in front of one of the Southern Baptist churches. He has been a huge advocate of ecumenism and bringing everyone under a one-world church. He teaches a conditional salvation and that Jesus loves everyone without any exception, and he made it possible that all might be saved. Like I said, he accepted an honorary doctorate from a Catholic university and has exalted the Pope as being a great spiritual leader on numerous occasions. Charles Finney was a hero of Billy Graham, and he considered Charles Finney to be another great spiritual leader doing the service of God. Well, they both adhere to the same false doctrine, don't they? Billy Graham's national campaign helped justify and usher in the mega churches with their similar methods to his. Billy likes to put in well-known sports figures and entertainers to draw large crowds. He loved appealing to the widest possible audience. The mega churches today and their leaders like Rick Warren, Bill Hybels, T.D. Jakes, John Hagee, the former Chuck Smith, Paula White, Joyce Meyer, Kenneth and Gloria Copeland are just a few of those who merely mirrored the false free will doctrine propagated by Billy Graham in the Southern Baptist Convention. Well, that's the short, concise chapter 13, speaking of Billy Graham and the Southern Baptist Convention of the mega churches. Now I'm going to go on to chapter 14, Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Lies. Back in 2007, I purchased a Rick Warren book, The Purpose-Driven Life. I was really amazed at how blatant and obvious he was with his exaltation of the creature. Warren's philosophy is man-centered, that is, what man can do to determine his own destiny by his own choices. To further review the absolute heresy of what the man is teaching, go to www.sermonaudio.com/sermon info, and the ID of the sermon is 450773056. I've done a whole message specifically exposing the lies of Rick Warren. He uses slick marketing to not only promote Saddleback Church, but to suck in hundreds of other churches into his man-centered schemes. He now is promoting a plan for purpose-driven countries. This is nothing more than placing man on the throne and removing God from his throne. This is a total denial of the teaching of the divine authority in all things, including in whom also we have obtained an inheritance, being predestinated according to the purpose of him who worketh all things after counsel of his own will, Ephesians 1:11. Rick Warren's association with the Southern Baptist Convention is further evidence of the doctrinal errors upheld by the Southern Baptist Convention by continuing with open arms of welcoming Rick Warren into their fold. Now, I'm not sure that he's still in that fold, but anyway. Much more could be said about the man-centered philosophies of Rick Warren, but suffice it to say he is preaching and teaching another gospel. Well, that's chapters 13 and chapters 14 of this book, The Lies of Free Will. If you want to get a copy of this, you can go to walmart.com and type in The Lies of Free Will by Larry Phillips. You can pick you up a copy. Christ taught against this sovereignty of man. Christ said, I am the potter, you are the clay. Christ said, you have not chosen me, I have chosen you. It is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but God that showeth mercy. Jesus Christ said, I am the great shepherd of the sheep. The sheep hear my voice, and they follow me, and no man can pluck them out of my hand, and no man can pluck them out of my Father's hand. Apostle Paul said, nothing can separate us from the love of God. Everything that Christ starts, he always finishes. He's not a procrastinator. Everything is done in his time. For those whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate, and those whom he predestinated, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified, and those whom he justified, he also glorified. What shall we say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Who can lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifieth. So let us always remember that the free will is the propagation of the free will of man is a doctrine that the Roman Catholic Church, the Armenian Church, most other religions all uphold, but Christ denounced. May the good Lord be with you this Friday in a special way. Have a blessed weekend is my prayer.